Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Financial Fridays Fireside Chat. I'm Audrey, and I'm so glad that you decided to join me today. Thanks for coming. So, what I'm going to talk about today is pricing. And the reason I want to talk about pricing is this is one of the biggest challenges my clients have. Um, and it's been coming up a lot with the clients I've been working with. They don't know how they should price. What is it too high? That all this imposter syndrome stuff comes in, right? We're all familiar with that. We all always have that imposter syndrome. And I just wanted to share with my audience just some things that I've noticed that can help you work through some pricing issues. So the number one thing I've been seeing is imposter syndrome. So what is, when we think we're charging too much or it's too high, um, we're underestimating our value. And as women, we do this all the time. Uh, I've had several clients just in the last 2 weeks struggling with this. And sometimes what they like to do is make decisions for their clients, whether they can afford something or not. And that's really challenging for us not to do that, right? We always think, oh, well, my clients will never pay this, or so and so will never pay this. But how do you know? How do you know? You don't really know until you try it, right? You don't really know until you put the number out there and see what happens. But I also say you really need to have confidence in your number. That's important too. Because I've been through a lot of coaching myself, and if you don't have confidence in your number, whatever that number is, it's going to come across when you're presenting it to your clients. Whether you think it does or not, our subconsciouses of our clients are picking up on it. So if you're not confident in your pricing, it's either going to come through in your voice or it's going to come through in your body language. All these like tells that we don't know we're doing, but our clients don't even realize we're doing it in most cases, but their subconscious does. So that's where I make sure that my clients are confident in the number that they're putting across to their clients, because it'll show if it doesn't. You can, have the biggest number in the world, which is awesome, but if you don't have the confidence behind it, it's you're not going to be able to sell it. And the other thing I like to do is to make sure you're not giving away too much. So one of my clients that's a coach, when we were reviewing her information, she was actually giving away the farm in her medium package. The price was not double from her lower package, but she was giving away, I would say, triple the value in the next one up. And I noticed that, triple, it was double the time. It was all these things that she threw in the next one up. Plus, the lower one was a group coaching program versus the higher one was a one-on-one program. And we just took a look at that and I said, that's her bestseller. Of course. I'm like, I get that's why you're bestseller. I'm like, look how much you're giving away for that value. So rather than changing the price, we actually changed the actual package that she was delivering. So it made it more aligned with her other two packages. So that's another thing you can look at. If you're a coach or you give away as a package or a group, like make sure it kind of makes sense, right? Make sure that what you're giving away isn't everything, the farm, unless you're offering a really, really high ticket price for it. So that's something else you can tweak. If you're nervous about increasing your price, think about taking a little bit out, right? So you're not giving away the farm. The other thing I want you to look at is a lot of times people will get in their heads about an hourly rate or, what the value of what they are giving. When a lot of times what we need to look at is the ROI. So what is the result that your client is getting from working with you? I work with a lot of interior designers too. So like, what is the result that they're getting? Interior designers usually have a very high-end clientele, and they're delivering an amazing product for the client that the client doesn't even have to think about. The client's time is valuable, and the interior designers are valuable to them. I mean, they don't have to worry about all the details, right? They don't have to worry about all the things. And there's an ROI with that, right? They're getting this amazing, beautiful, design, as well as them sourcing all the things that go with it. Imagine how much time that would take. So we often love to compare what our time is to the value, right? But our time, I forget the exact quote, but there's a quote out there that it's like, we've honed our skill, right? Whatever you're doing, whether it's coaching or interior design or, I have some other creatives that I work with. And we've honed our skills so that we are more efficient with our time. The knowledge that we have up here is amazing. And what we get to give should not be based on an hourly rate or an hourly amount. Because what you do when you're basing everything on an hourly amount is, as you become more efficient, as you become better at what you do, the client wins, but you don't unless you increase your prices. So the more efficient you get, the less time it takes you. So that's why we need to kind of look at that. It's not dollar for hour is not really the best scenario to look at what your worth and your value is. What's the ROA? What are the results worth to you, to your client? Like, that's how you can look at it. What are the results? What are they worth? The last thing I want to talk about is, what is your close rate? So I always ask my clients this question: what is your close rate? Because it's very telling when it comes to their pricing. And it's cute. A lot of times they're very proud. Oh, well, I get almost every single client that comes to me. I have a very high close rate. I'm like, that's great. However, that also means your prices are probably too low. Or they say, uh, my close rate isn't so great, I only get a little bit, So it could be something else, right? If your close rate is too low. Maybe it's how you're delivering the price, or maybe it's how your follow up. There are so many things it could be if your close rate is low. And what I mean by close rate is how many clients say yes versus how many clients say no. So if you're not tracking that, it's a great thing to track because it's really going to give you some insight on what's working and what's not working. And you can really analyze and evaluate your close rate by, well, was this a hot lead or was this a referral? Was this, um, somebody I just gave free advice to and was hoping to sell to? Was this just a connection call? Like, I wouldn't even count connection calls. So, um, even if you do offer your information, somebody that's really, really interested in your services, and it could be anything. And a lot of times, even if the closing rate isn't great, what are you selling? Are you selling something that requires a deep belief, someone to have a deep belief in themselves? A lot of times that could be the problem. There are like countless issues, countless problems. Um, but that is one thing I go through with my clients is we sit there and we analyze that. We analyze their pricing, you know, how do they feel about increasing the rate? Can they go to a flat rate versus an hourly rate? These are all the things that we discuss usually in the first session, first or second session that I work with them. And it's super, super important for you to, for us to, my clients and I, to actually really get into that. Sometimes it's the money mindset. I work the first thing we work on is money mindset. And sometimes that can sabotage you without you even knowing it. So it's huge to make sure that there's not a money mindset that's getting in your way, right? There's not some belief that's getting in your way. And take a look at all the statistics behind your pricing. And is there imposter syndrome going on? What's your ROI? Are you making the decision for your clients? All those things are things that you can look at to decide whether or not your pricing is where it should be. And if you're interested in having me help you with that, please reach out. I'd love to chat and see if we can get more, or come on Financial Fridays Fireside and see if we can get more clarity on that for you. That's what I've got going on this week. So thank you for those of you who are able to join. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions, feel free to message me. And I hope this served you today on this Friday. And going forward, I hope to see you again. Thanks.